Welcome to the She Build Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building?
All right, you guys, welcome to the She Build Show. I have an incredible guest today, Monica with Girl Build, and I am so stoked to have you here. Welcome to the show, Monica.
Oh my God, I am so excited to be here. I hate to say this to you. Can I just record myself?
Yes, I'm doing the same thing. So.
I am like, wait, I totally forgot that point.
Yeah, record yourself recording, yes.
Yes. Okay. Like we just get that. But I am super excited to be here, everyone. My name is Monica Miraglilo, CEO and founder of Girl Build. And I am stoked.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to know all the things, but the first thing I want to know is where did this start? Where did this come from? Give me a little bit of a background. I just always am fascinated by people's stories and what's brought them to where they are now. So give me a story.
So I started off, I would say I initially was a model for several years, and I traveled afar. I traveled to Europe and, the European countries. I traveled to New York and Florida for many years. I'm originally from New York, but I lived and resided in Philadelphia most of my life. And I model, as I said, and I had the opportunity to travel to Italy, and I lived there for 6 months. And while I was there, I was super inspired by all the architectural structures, the museums, the men, the food, and it was just amazing. And I fell in love. And basically, I went there to be a model. I gained 10 pounds and they sent me home. And so, okay.
I feel like that would be so hard not to.
And so I went home and I brought those aesthetics with me. I mean, I had to bring something back with me, right? And so I brought those aesthetics back with me, and I always kept them dear to my heart. And then fast forward, I became pregnant. I was with a longtime boyfriend for many years, and I became pregnant. And I felt as though if I had my child, I wanted to give my child a home. And I had a daughter. And 2 years later, I kept searching and searching, and I was still modeling in the Philadelphia area. I was working at QVC full time as a model. And then afar, I was doing different things in New York and DC and Florida, like I said. And then finally, I bought this house. And at the time, I was dating. I broke up with my daughter Savannah's father, and I started to date this man who became my husband, Michael. And he was an Italian guy. Of course, I had the attraction. And I did finally get my Italian.
That's where the last name is. Okay, it's Italian. Yes, got it. That's why I can't say it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I found him and we were dating, and he was just like, I found this house, and he was like, you can't buy that house. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, you can't buy that house because if you do, it's done. And I was like, whatever, dude, I'm going to buy the house because I had a vision, and it just like super inspired me because it was like an old style home. It had all this character. It had the stone. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And if you know anything about Philadelphia, even though it's gone through a big transition as all of the other cities in our country is right now, it had so much charm. It has beautiful architectural structures of the homes. Like I was in the Chestnut Hill / East Falls area, which were all stone homes. And when I say they like reeked like charm and character, they did. Like the stone,
that's amazing.
Exteriors, the big stone fireplace, and just the wood and the plaster. And I just was like, oh my God, this was my dream home. And so I bought the house. I didn't care what he said.
Of course, yes.
My mom thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy. So I was a single mom living in this house, and I didn't have a lot of money. I was basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. It was just on my modeling career. And I said, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. It was a money pit, but I figured that I knew I can make this house become a home, right?
Mhm.
And so I sat there one day with my daughter sitting on the floor eating oodles of noodles. Like I was dead broke. And I was just like, oh my God, what did I just do? And then finally, eventually, I got up and I said, you know what? I'm going to rip this place apart and I'm going to go step by step. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh
And
my
every
gosh.
single day I went to Home Depot and I went up into and I asked a guy, I said, excuse me, I need help. I'm ripping up my floors. What do I need to do? I'm ripping out the cabinets. Can you show me? I was bringing guys to my home, which is something you don't do today. So ladies, please don't do that today. But I was bringing them home and I was like, can you please show this to me? I will make you some food because not that you know this, but I am a very good cook. And so I would like feed your belly if you could just help me, figure this
A
out. And
tiny
so,
little bribe.
yes, exactly. And then you would get to be in my presence. No, just kidding.
Yeah, of
So
course.
at the end of the day, I learned, I watched, and I learned, and I watched, and it became so like I was like I couldn't tell you how much I just enjoy being a part of something that I was going to create and make this house a home. And so, like I said, I started to rip out the cabinets, the flooring, the walls. Then eventually, my boyfriend he got in there. He started scraping the wallpaper. My mom started to come over and then bringing over her little meals because she saw that I was doing things, and it became a masterpiece. It became a showcase. And then it became a ripple effect. People started to see me. My neighbors were looking out their windows like, what is this girl doing? Like I was taking out tons of trash constantly, dragging in sheetrock by myself. I did not care. I was not going to wait for anyone to tell me what I can and cannot do because I had a purpose and I had to make it work, right? And so I continued on my mission until my home was a showcase. And then I started to get work. I started laying tile for my neighbors. I started doing little projects for them. And then I was just like, you know what? People were reaching out to me 24/7. I put a little ad in Craigslist. And I'm like, if you need a little handy woman, if you need any help, I'm here. I'm your girl. And people were hiring me. And I was like, wait, this is really happening. Like, I can't believe this. Like, no one never really just hires someone without any experience. But I had so much I would say grit or um, I just had it so much in me, like where I wanted to make it work, and I was not going to let
Yeah,
any
like whatever you needed to do, you were going to figure it out.
exactly. And I figured it out. I made mistakes. I'm not going to say I didn't because
Oh,
I
yeah.
made them, but I was able to make them on my home, so that if
Right.
I were to go somewhere else, I would know what not to do.
Right.
And then eventually, one day I sat down. My husband, he eventually moved in. We got married, and we had a child. We was sitting in the living room one day and I was in there and I was thinking, each time that I did a project for one of my clients, I would give them like this really cool vintage pillow that I would make out of like a vintage scarf. So I would go to thrift stores all over New York, Philadelphia, wherever I could find them, and I would put them together and mash them together. Like one side would be different from the other, and I would give it to my client as a thank you for believing in me and also to accessorize their home for whatever I did for them. And it became a hit. And people were like, wow, this is great. It's a one of a kind piece.
Hmm.
And so one day I was sitting with my husband. I was like, you know what? I want to do like a pillow store or something. And then he was like, what are you talking about now? Like, because I'm always doing stuff. I goes, Monica, we are not opening a pillow store. I'm like, yeah, we can do it. How about like, let's do a pillow, like almost like a Build-A-Bear, but with pillows. And so it got in my head. Once it was in my head, there was no stopping. And
Right.
finally, I said to him, I said, I want to let you know something. I found this place. I signed the lease. I'm opening a store in a couple of months. It's called Fill a Pillow. And he almost lost his crap. He was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? You are so crazy. And I was like, well, I told you I was going to do it. What you think? I was just talking. And so I opened the store. I was pregnant with my son. which was the worst thing. I had to go on bed rest. I had to get someone to run the store, someone that I work with when modeling who came in. She literally took over. She had worked at Saks Fifth Avenue and had all her clients that would come in. And basically, I started a store called Pillow, which was a high-end store, which was at the time not a necessity, but it was a luxury. But I was in the right area. I was on the main line in Haverford, PA, and the women ate it up. We had
Really?
pillow parties, girls' night out. You can come in, pick out fabric and trim, and get a pillow made the same exact day. I had the state of the art seamstress downstairs. We were working it like no other. And I'm telling you, we were kicking out these custom pillows every single day. People were the women were standing at the doors waiting to come in. It was so great.
Really?
Children were having their pillow parties. It was just so much fun. And then I had to go on bed rest. And then things like, I had to let someone take over, but it was fine. Eventually I came out of that. And then I realized, this was going really well. We started doing window treatments, outdoor cushions. We started doing everything that was really accessorizing the home. And then I was getting more and more jobs. Women were asking me to come and help give them, design tips and things like that, which is something that I decided I did not want to do. And so one
I totally get that. Yeah. You're like, and I'm out.
so I was like, I didn't do these things because this is something I love doing, not something that I want to hate to do because of someone who is taking up so much of my time. Because
Right.
I'm a mover and shaker. I like to keep it moving, moving. And I have things planned out the way I need to make sure that my lifestyle is working accordingly. Because not only do I did that, I was to open the store. I got pregnant, still working at QVC, which was 24 hours. So I was back and forth. Sometimes I never even slept. Then I would go home, make a full course meal for my family, and be a mom and a wife. So it was just so much pulling at me. I couldn't have one more thing pulling at me. So eventually I realized I'm a one-man show. In every business that you start, you need a team. I
Mhm.
didn't have a team. I had people that could work for me, but I needed a business mind behind my creativity because I'm a creative mind. But
Mhm.
you need to have someone that is behind you that can reel you in
Have you
and be
ever
like,
read
no,
Traction?
Monica.
Have
I'm
you
sorry.
ever read Have you ever read Traction?
No,
Oh,
never.
girl.
I'm gonna
Okay.
read it.
You need to read it because it's
Okay.
there. You're called the visionary, and the person you're talking about is called the integrator.
Oh, well, that's exactly what I needed, right?
Yeah. So read that book.
So
I'm
I
sure you figured it out on your own, but that is exactly what they describe it as.
Okay, well, I'm going to read that book because, see, this is something that I need to focus on because, again, I can come up with the best ideas, but I need that integrator to reel
Mhm.
me in and to be like, no, Monica, stop it here. This is how we're going to do it. Like,
Right.
I'll think outside the box and do it and make it happen. But all the stuff behind the doors is like killing me as I'm doing it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Chaos.
so at the end of the day, I realized that, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And it was so unfortunate because it was such a great business and people really loved it. But like every 30 days, the rent came around, and every 30 days, I had to pay and I had to buy new merchandise and I had to do this and do it. And it was just overwhelming having a new baby, still trying to, maneuver. And so I decided to close my store. This was in 2010. So I had the store from 2006 to 2010. And this gentleman walked in and he came into my store. He goes, I came here because someone sent me here and told me that I should need to come in this store. He goes, this is a beautiful store. You have a great eye, kid. And I said, thank you. I didn't know who I was talking to. And he goes, I love your aesthetics. How would you like to come work for me? And I was like, doing what? That I can teach you how you can incorporate your style into building. And
Wow.
I
Well, that
said,
gave me like goosebumps. I don't
I
know
said,
where this is going, but I had
"Wow."
goosebumps.
And I said, okay, well, in my theory, nothing beats a failure but a try, right? So in everything I've tried, I did it. It might not have worked, but at least I tried. I stepped out of
Mhm.
faith, right?
Yep. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. So I said, what's another try? I'm going to step out and see what this guy has to offer. And his name was Tony Rufo. Tony Rufo became my mentor. and my very
Mhm.
best friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he took me under his wing, and then he brought me down to my first project with him.
It's
And he,
really funny. The guy, my mentor, the guy that taught me everything I know, his name's Tony also.
oh, okay. See, that's awesome.
So cool.
I know, that is cool. And so he wanted me to do cushions for the lobby of an apartment building that he was developing. And so we did the order for him, and I came down, and he was like, "What do you think about this room? What would you do here?" And I said, "Well, I can do XYZ. I can get you some furniture. We can, make this come alive." And so he gave me that chore to do. So I did that. And then he reached out to me another time. He says, "Do you think you could pick out some paint colors for me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." Picked out the paint like in like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And I got him the paint. He goes, "You did it that fast?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's the big deal?" Like, for me, it was easy.
Right.
He was like, "Okay." So then the next thing he says, "Why don't you come in on the site? I want to bring you on the site. I want you to look here. Tell me what you think as far as how we should lay this out." And I was thinking to myself, why is he asking me? He's done over like 1,000 buildings. Like, are you kidding me? I was like freaking out. But he was paying me every time he did. He asked me, he paying me. And then all his guys are just like, all the guys are like, "What is this? Like a booty call? Like, what is you bringing this girl on? Like, we don't need her. We've been doing this for like over 25 years. Like, what is happening here?"
Right.
And so I was just like, it was none of that. And he literally valued my
You're,
aesthetics.
yeah,
He really valued what I can bring, and he thought that I can bring in something new and fresh.
that's
And he
cool.
took me on the site, and then I helped with the first project. I did a little bit things in the Hawthorne building where I did some design, meaning like as far as bringing in some staging for the properties so that they can sell the properties. But then after that, he owned like half of like the area, and he owned like he was definitely a big developer. He started bringing me on the site, and then I started to pick out all the finishes, and then I started to do all the layouts, and then I started to like work closely with the guys, and then I started to actually learn from them, and I started to apply all that knowledge to everything that he wanted me to do. Like, I just was like learning everything. And his biggest thing was, "Monica, if you want to build, if you want to really get into this business, what you need to do is build from the ground up." He goes, "We rehab and we renovate a lot of homes here, but like basically he goes and he renovates and rehabs them, like not new construction, but he just takes the original character and turn them into a masterpiece. So he like has to go in and basically take everything down to the studs or the joists so that he can start new and give a good product." And that was his lesson to me. He says, "In everything that you do, you always want to feel good about a product when you're giving a client. You never want to go to bed at night and feel like that, oh my God, you gave someone something that you're going to regret."
Mhm.
So I took that and I carried that with me in everything that I did. And he was right. And he's like, you want to, be known for having a good product
Mhm.
because it is longevity.
Right.
People see that. People know that if they're going to purchase a product from you, that they're going to get a good product, right?
Right.
And so I took everything that he said. I learned from him. I saw how he did everything. I took some of his aesthetics, and I tell him, I'm like, "I am doing that now in my builds, because you taught me." He goes, "That's why I taught you." And so my husband started to see me working closely with him
Mhm.
and these men, and he didn't like it. And he was just like, "Okay, like enough. Maybe we should do this too." And so we started our construction company together. Um, and basically, we started doing the work. Now, my husband's never done construction before. He's never picked up a hammer, but he wanted to do this. And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, "Oh my God, here we go. We're either going to stay married or we're not." And I was like,
Yeah. It's gonna go one way or the other.
it's gonna go. So it was so hard. It was so hard. And
So what year was that you decided that?
so we started our company, I was saying, in 2012.
Okay.
Michael and I, my husband's name is Michael. And it was tumultuous. It was so hard. It was like I thought I was going to lose my mind, because here I had something finally for myself where he was not involved in, that I can go and I was passionate about, because this is what I love to do. I love
Mhm.
creating new things. I love being a part of things that people love. Like I love to decorate and design and everything and make spaces, turn into like a home, or
Right.
just I just love that.
Yeah.
What I love to do. And now my husband's involved. And so he got involved and we fought. And I was trying to tell him what I learned. So his first project, he purchased a home and he wanted to put a band-aid on it. This is
Mm.
what most contractors do when they are flipping homes. They just want to go in there, put new sheetrock up, not even deal with it. Just go in and put their little electric and change the receptacles, and change a little bit of lighting, put a little floor on top of another floor, and all that, right? And I was
Polish
like,
a turd.
exactly. And so I was like, Mike, yeah, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Don't tell me I'm doing this, blah blah blah. 20,000+ later, he ends up ripping everything out after I told him, do not do a band-aid. Like, this is
Right.
not the way you're supposed to do it. I'm trying to tell him very nicely. I'm like, well, Tony said that, but I'm doing it this way. Don't tell me. I was like, oh my God. I was just like cringing, right? All I had to do was go in there. I was like, okay, whatever you say. So eventually he had to take everything down, and I never had to say to him, I told you so. I just like stood there and I was just very humble, and just like in my mind, I knew I told him so, but I couldn't tell him I told him.
Right.
And so eventually he, from that mistake, because it cost him some good money, he started to listen,
Mm.
right? And
Yep.
he started to like take into what I was trying to say, and he eventually got it. So then what we learned to do was we decided to have a lane for each one of us. So my lane was to go in, lay out the space, work with the mechanicals. When I say mechanicals, I mean the electric, the HVAC, the plumbing, mechanical crew. Make sure that they were laying things the proper way, go in there, work with the framers, and get everything roughed in. Then my husband would take it from there and execute my plan. Get everything done. Get the sheet. Get it to a white box. We call it a white box, where everything's sheetrocked and one coat of paint.
Mhm.
Then after that, I would come in and I work with them, and we would do all the finishes. Then he would go to the next project. So we ended up doing that system, and we would do about 10 to 12 properties a year for that period, and it worked. It was awesome. We started to develop a name. Everyone was reaching out. Oh my God, would you mind showing me how you do this? The investors wanted to invest in our properties. We started doing so many properties, and we had a one of a kind piece, because each property that I designed or laid out was an original one. He wanted to focus on basically coming up with a system where we could just do the same thing. But in my mind, I felt like each house is different, each buyer is different. So each person that walks through the door, they are not going to feel the same energy that the next person did, or the person before them. So
Mhm.
whatever I felt when I walked in that door was the way that I laid that house out.
Right. Isn't it fun? I have a question about that. Do you have to do that with nobody else in the house? Or can you, like, I'm like
Well,
so adamant about like having an hour or two to just like sit in the house, and sometimes I'll just sit on the ground.
and look
And I'm
around.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I could be around people. But I always go back. So initially walking through, I'll walk through with my husband, or I'll walk through with the framers, and then they'll be like, well, what are you thinking? I'm like, well, let me walk through. And then I'll get a sense of how I want to do it. But for the most part, we kind of lay them out similar, because all the row homes in Philadelphia that we were doing at the time, they were kind of the same. It was,
Similar, yeah.
yeah, on the square footage. So we laid them out accordingly. And then
Mhm.
once I went back, then I knew how I was going to do my finishes by, whatever I kept, as far as if I kept a piece of molding from the exterior of the home, or if I kept like a real nice, you know, um, header or something like that, or piece of trim. That's how I designed aesthetically how I was going to
Yeah.
look. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so there was just so many different things. Philadelphia, like I said, has a lot of charm. There's a lot of character. I love to expose the brick walls. We will also expose the river rock, which were in the basement, because it was something no one else was doing. Because one, it was very labor intensive. But what I will say is, when you are in this business, and I haven't gotten too far, I hope I am not talking too much, again, too far ahead of myself. When you're in this
You're
business,
doing great.
if you have a crew, you could get so much more done, as opposed to hiring people to subcontract, and it's less expensive. So
Mhm.
I will say that. And so for me, initially, I would have to come in and work side by side with the guys that we were hiring, um,
Mhm.
because I needed manpower, right? But it was very, very interesting to see how a lot of them received me as a woman.
Mhm.
My workers. Now, when I work with Tony, the guys, I proved myself. I didn't walk in there with, oh, I'm a woman. Oh, don't, No, I walked in there with an attitude, knowing that I was going in there, I was going to learn from them, and I was going to prove to them that I can do it just like they
Mhm.
could, if not better, right? And so they learn to respect that and understand my whole vision. And once I started to like really design with them and do work with them, they were like, holy crap, you're so good. Like, they were like, we really didn't think that you really were, that good. And we thought that, this is a big old like show, and they were very like supportive. And that was one of the things that made me feel like a part of a family, right? And I felt like I can really learn from these guys. And I would ask them questions. I was like, how do you do this? And they were so willing to help, because they wanted to help. It wasn't because I asked them, but they knew that I was like really into this and it was my passion. But my point is, being in the whole process of working with my husband Michael, we had this great system. And then all the guys that I work with that I hired, I must have fired about 5 or 6 of them, because they had the attitude, they didn't want to take orders from me, but they
Mhm.
weren't doing it right. And see, they were used to band-aid flips. They were used to just getting it in and getting out and being fast. I was about quality. I was about doing the things right, because I was taught by the best. So I was not going to settle for, oh no, this is the way I do it. No, no, no. We're not doing it the way you're doing it. We're going to do it my way, or it's the highway. And so it became a thing. And I had 3 guys that lasted. They lasted all the way till I moved to Florida. And they still work. One's working with me now today. But we pumped out a lot of inventory, a ton of inventory, and we were fast. I had a 3-month lead time. We're in and out, done, 3 months, on to the next one. Like, it was a system. And this is the way we have to follow it accordingly for it to work. Okay. So all these things were working in hand. And then I was getting, like I said, we had tons of investors coming in. We had tons of, I even had a couple of guys say, this is a Monica and Mike property. We want to do it just like this. I literally like follow you, and I copy all your aesthetics. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so flattered, because you really do great work too. So it was just like a thing, like, we became like, a thing in Philadelphia, my husband and I. And then I started getting a lot of women reaching out, and women that were like, oh my God, I would love to, be your apprentice. I would love to work underneath you. Can you show me how to do this? Can you do this? And I decided, I had Tony who helped me and
Mhm.
taught me the ropes. So now I need to get back and be able to teach other women and help them. And so I started Girl Build. And Girl Build was born in 2020. And originally, the reason why I started Girl Build was because, being a model, I've always been around beautiful people and wearing beautiful clothing, and just, being in beautiful spaces, right? And I said, I cannot wear another freaking hard piece of clothing on my behind at this thing, these boxy pants and this hard jacket. I was dying. I was just like, this is not me. I can't do this anymore. And messing up my nice clothes. So I decided I wanted to start a clothing line. I wanted to do clothing for like a utility line for women like us. We're
Mhm.
stylish. We're cute. We want to look cute and still be on a, construction site. So I was like, yeah, I want something cute, like, overalls, cargo pants, cute t-shirts, tank tops. And I mean, I know a lot of times you're not going to really be that cute because you're going to get all jacked up and stuff, but you can still look cute. You don't have to be looking all rugged and hard and like, you know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't do this anymore. So I started it with that in mind. I said, I'm going to start Girl Bill, the clothing line. So we started doing that, and I started giving out t-shirts and stuff and cool hats and things like that. By the way, I love your hat.
Oh, thank you.
And so I said, yeah, this is cool. So then I started I was doing like little trade shows and they were loving the cargo pants I was selling and some of the jumpsuits and overalls. And then I started to mentoring and started to like, have the one-on-one discussions or going on to some of the women's sites and helping them get through the entire process and teaching them the ropes and things like that. And then I developed the workshops on Girl Build. And so Girl Build was derived primarily because of the clothes, but it also was to empower women, to give them a platform, to let them know that I am here or that there are other women here that will be able to provide for them the support because
Mhm.
not a lot of them get the support. And we're a very small percentage of
Mhm.
the construction industry, but we are coming in like blazing fire right now. I
That's
am
right, girl. That's
super excited.
right.
Like, I'm just like, oh my God, these women are like badasses, like for real. Like, we have some pretty inspiring
We
badass
do. I
women. I
agree.
mean, I'm really impressed with the women that are reaching out, that I'm following, that you have like derived, like you developed and brought on your podcast and so forth. I mean, amazing. And so I said, I'm going to do this platform to empower them, inspire them, give them confidence, the support, and the resources that they need.
Mhm.
I want them to feel like, there is someone here for them because there's not been a lot of times that there was, you
Right.
know, there's been a lot of times that, you might come across this business and be shut down, right?
Mhm.
But now we don't have that. And now we are being canceled more than ever in anything and everything. And I'm just like, no, 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 this is not going to happen. We are unstoppable. We are the backbone of building everything. We build families, we build relationships. We build strong men to go out and provide for our families. So, what better way than to build each other up? And I say it all the time. So, this is our time. You know, I want us to be able to come to Girl Bill, to have those resources. I'm starting to work with other women who are helping me to bring it all together because not only am I wanting to build them in construction, I want to build them in their mind, their body, and their
Mhm.
souls. It's so
Absolutely.
important that we are strong, stronger than ever before, so that we can plant the seed, so that we can make sure that our children and those in front of us can really learn from us. Like, we are the teachers. We have
Yeah.
to be equipped with knowledge because it's key. And
Mhm.
so I want every one of us to understand that this is why my platform is here, not just to help them build a home, but to build their inner soul. You know,
Yeah.
I want them to understand that, it's important to eat properly, to sleep well, to get the proper nutrients, to be able to express themselves and be okay with that and not have someone tell you, no, that's not okay. No,
Yeah.
it is okay, period. There is no other person on this earth better than us. No one. There would be no people if it wasn't for us, period. I don't care. I'm just saying. So, with all that said, I love what I do. I'm going to shut up and you can ask me any questions.
Oh my gosh, you are incredible. And honestly, our like deep inner longings align so incredibly. Like your vision and your um the way you look at the world and even like our journey. I spent, I don't know, 10 years flipping, and then kind of went into the same mindset of when I created She Builds, it was like, I want her to build her body and her mind and her soul. And I want it to be completely all encompassing, and have a healthy marriage, and take good care of yourself and be a good mother, and also be a badass in your business, and so that message that you're throwing out on the East Coast is so aligned with and the reason why I created mine as well. And I think it's so cool to have women like you who have gone through that journey and are so willing to give back, because that is, I think, imperative. And I think you're also, the one thing I always kind of say is I'm not doing, like, calling my name She Builds to exclude anyone. It's to bring light to the fact that I'm here and you can be too. And there is someone like me, someone like you to look up to, and to know that you can totally do this if it's been the thing in your heart, and you've been the young girl that's been by herself and totally interested in things that are not of the norm, and hopefully catch those girls a lot sooner in life than you and I possibly found it.
Exactly. And that's the whole goal, is to really get these young girls to know that they can work with their hands and be okay with it. It's not just a man's thing. It's, we can do it too. I mean, I feel like we can do it all. We really can. And we do it all. But it's super inspiring, to be, and I watch so many of the DIYers. These girls are but I'm
hardcore.
Oh my God, this is so great.
See, like, I'm too impatient to do DIY. I'm like, I could see some progress. I 7 layers of paint on no piece of furniture. I'm like, I need that house framed by then. Thank you. Sorry, I know I'm terrible, but I guess it's just not my gift. Patience.
That is so funny, because I look at them like, I'm like, girl, I give it to you. I'm gonna have a whole section for just DIYers, because I'm not that girl. I'm like, let's go next month.
I'll tell you what to do all day, but for sure. That's hilarious.
That's so great. I love it. But it's so true. It's like I said, we plant the seeds properly, then it can flourish. So I want to plant them in the young minds, because it's important more than ever now. I don't feel as though we need to be distracted with all the things that we have gone around. Let's be positive. Let's think of things that's going to help us to grow, so that we can be one, right? Because we all are one at the end of the day. And not excluding anyone. I don't want that to be my message, because I'm not, but this is our time. This is for us to really embark on, and to realize that, we don't have to be canceled from a man's, supposed to be trait, that we can get involved. And, listen, there's not a lot of women that's going to get in there and really physically do it, but there are architect women out there. There are women who are designers. There are women who are foremen that can oversee the
project management is like one of the most beautiful jobs.
Yes, absolutely. And let me tell you how much smoother that job goes. Just saying. There's not,
because we're like 7 steps ahead of everything, right?
Yes,
which is
there's
what you
not
gotta be.
a lot of mistakes being made. Let's just say that. There's not someone doing it over and over again. We do it one time and we do it really good.
Yes.
And so, I just want women to know that I'm here. I do have the workshops. I do the workshops, which gives you an overview of how you can build a home, a rehab in the row home industry. My next step on will be to building a home. And I do new construction and everything, but I don't get that detailed in this first set of workshops.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Girl Build is national. We're all over. I'm in Florida now. I'm doing things down there. We're doing things in New York. We're doing things in Boston. We're doing things, all over. I'm actually going to be going to Chicago soon. there's just a lot of different things, but I'm looking for ambassadors for all over that can really carry the load. And we're going to start to put together a whole trade show and bring us all together.
Oh, that sounds
So
amazing. Well,
important.
if there's any way I can support you or
Absolutely.
be a part of it, I love it. I think that
Yeah,
we're
we're very
definitely,
similar,
yeah, very connected.
but it's very good. Like we all need to like come together because that this is our community.
It
This
is. It's our tribe.
this is our tribe and this is our community. And there is, so like I said, amazing women that need to come together. There's painters and plumbers and electricians and roofers. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I wouldn't even think of getting on a roof. Like I just look above and I'm like, okay, make sure this is
Yeah.
not I'm not getting on a roof. Like, no way. But there are some women on the roofs. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right? It's
Insane.
amazing.
Amazing. I am stoked on it, and I'm finding more and more. And what's great is there's a company that I'm a part of. I'm not. I think you might be too.
Yeah.
Matriarchy. Yeah. So
Matriarchy build. Yeah.
Matriarchy Bill. And so she's got all these different women from all over the country, and like they're going out and they're getting jobs as contractors and so forth in people's homes. I mean, it's
I
awesome.
know it is awesome. I know I was super excited when they reached out to me. I was like, yes, I will
Yeah.
do whatever I can to support you. Okay, so Monica, tell people where they can find you, follow you, hire you.
Yeah. So you can follow me on girlbuild.com. I'm sorry. Follow me at girlbuild.com or at girlbuild on Instagram or at style w monica, which is where most of my design aesthetics come to life. Girl Build's platform is more of like teaching and trying to like get women inspired. And then what else? Girlbuild.com.
Yeah, and then like where if they did want to hire you, to do any
They
sort of
can,
jobs,
yeah,
what locations and stuff are
do
you in?
they can basically, I'm all over, to be honest. I'm getting ready to fly to Martha's Vineyard. I'm going back to Orlando. So I'm all over. I will fly wherever. If someone wanted to reach out to me, I'm available. But I will say I'm not a decorator. I'm only
Stay in your lane, right? Yeah.
I'm not interested in decorating.
I'm not either. I'm like,
It is the work.
once it's done, and then
Done.
you can come put your furniture in.
Exactly. That's my thing. One of the things
I will organize like nobody's business, but like I think I've had the same couch in my house for 10 years and I've moved it around at least 25 times. And every Christmas it moves location and I've never been happy with it. I'm like, I've had a stager come in and be like, what do I do with my couch?
Well, listen, I can do it. It's just that I don't want to too time consuming. Like our minds are moving.
It is. Yeah.
Very time consuming. I just
Well,
don't
you
want
have to do what like comes naturally.
Exactly. And one of the things I do when designing is I design my homes around family and entertaining. So every one of my spaces is a place where you can gather, have a glass of wine, or have family, right? So by the time I'm done, you will know exactly where to put that couch.
That's right. I'm always thinking about where it's gonna go. Absolutely. And where are you gonna sit and where are you gonna eat your popcorn? How are you gonna watch a movie? Are you gonna put your legs up? Are you gonna all be at the time? I'm always thinking about where it's gonna go. I'm just not gonna put it there for you.
Right. Exactly. So by the time I'm done, there is nothing more for them to do except for put that chair or that couch in that space where it needs to be. But yes, they can definitely reach out to me. I also have a website called Monica Miraglilo. And I make my own furniture called Willow. I have a line called Willow.
Girl, what else do you do? Jeez.
I'm a cook. That's what I love to do. I am such a good cook. Like, you've no idea.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you really don't.
You have no idea.
Like really, like everyone gathers at my home. Like literally all the models back in the day before I moved to Florida were so upset. They're like, I can't believe you moved. Because every holiday I would have like at least 30 girls and their families sitting at my table if they were from out of town. And I would make a whole entire meal. Like we had the best parties, the best time ever. But I love that. Like I just love to make the best food. My favorite specialty is eggplant parmesan. Even the Italians can't believe I make it. And I'm like, yeah, I did make that from scratch.
I did. I'm so good.
No, I'm only kidding, guys. Don't think I'm crazy.
No,
I really do love to cook. It's one of my things. things that kind of like make me, I
Yeah,
get to
calming.
kind of chill, calming.
Yeah.
But yes, Monica Miraglio, girlbell.com, or you can instant message me through Girlbell.
Awesome. All right, Monica, it's been such a pleasure to get to know you and to be inspired and encouraged by you. And what a blessing you are to this world.
Oh, well, thank you. And so are you. And I cannot wait to see what you have in store for the future. You are incredible. And I thank you for putting this together. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, darling. Mwah!
Take care.
You bet. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me today on the She Build Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Build swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.